Come on a transformational journey. In this half hour, we will explore the origins of Healing Circle Work, what Healing Circle Work does, the transformational value of healing, how a healing circle is delivered, the role of prayer and meditation, and the role of the facilitator. If you have any questions, please contact us.
This healing circle is only one of many practiced in Australia and other nations. First Nations people have diverse cultural ways of opening or closing a healing circle. Healing circle is therapeutic but not therapy. It is also very intensive work. Because it is not a therapy and it is a healing practice, knowledge of First Nations cultures and their spirituality would be good but optional for facilitators. Our experience is that two people best facilitate healing circle. These can be two males, two females, and even a male and a female. But you can do the healing circle by yourself. People who attend a healing circle are motivated to deal with their own trauma with honesty, integrity, trustworthiness, respectfulness, decency, and fairness to themselves and others. When these attributes inspire people, they will express their self-disclosures more authentically. The content of the modules is based on what occurred around the campfire experience. To create an understanding of sharing is a campfire experience. In the healing circle, conversations, discussions, and sharing will be included. Through cultural healing ways learned and practiced by families who want to heal, it was around the campfire that people shared their life, their troubles, their blessings, their failures, and their successes. Campfire content such as Healing Circle must be structured on the lived experience of the people who now live their reality within a personal, social, emotional, psychological, or cultural and mental prison setting of their own making, based upon how they have dealt with their life circumstances. That is, the natural disaster or a traumatic event that has not healed them yet, and they know that they can experience a restorative and health-giving sense of well-being to themselves and others by participating in Healing Circle. In this place, they can just be themselves. They also know that they can experience wellness within themselves that will reconcile them to actively living life and not just be floating and existing, because they will come to recognize that they are the people who experience something that caused them to lose their awareness of who they are. They learn that they are not under the label and that has been placed upon them, nor are they under the circumstance their lives are encountering. They are dealing with what life has brought to them, a traumatic event that is natural, personal, community, or family related. A healing circle progresses a participant who enters the circle to become responsible for the responses or reactions they have transacted before the trauma, living in the trauma and through the trauma, after the trauma, the place where they have survived and are alive, seeking assistance, noticing they are releasing themselves from an existence of life to living a life for their highest good, reconnection to how they want to live life, connecting to self and family, and reintegration into what has been life-changing for them. Issues that will need understanding and therefore need assisting participants in addressing do have their roots in cultural and historical stories. Those oral histories passed on from people like themselves who experienced their own or the same or similar trauma and passed it on to others. Addressing these issues so that a man or a woman who has experienced a natural disaster, a personal trauma, a loss, or who is still grieving can encourage a person to own responsibility for how they experience the trauma and how they live each day with the memories of it. Taking personal responsibility will occur in the healing circle when a participant can learn to accept that the trauma is part of their history and they begin the process of healing themselves. They learn to let go. Healing Circle is easy to identify a person's change of direction in their life. It begins when a person takes the first step toward their own healing. It continues when they approach someone seeking advice about participating in a healing journey. Participants learn that a life circumstance is something that they will encounter outside of themselves. A person becomes entangled in the circumstance, and they begin to own the circumstance when they consent to allow their thinking or emotions to direct them in the circumstance. Another way of putting it is that a person is still a human being in any circumstance they are involved in during their lifetime. It is when we as humans take on ownership of the circumstance that challenges will arise. For example, when someone close to me dies in this circumstance, will I be the grieving person, feeling the loss and the pain for that person? Or in the circumstance of someone dying, will I be the person who actively goes through the grief, the pain, through the loss, as I allow my memories of the person to be recalled? Will I go through the grief, celebrating the life of the person I have lost to death? There is a vast difference in how I approach the death of this someone in my life. And in Healing Circle, a participant is given tools to recognize where the circumstances of life have directed them, rather than direct the issues to the circumstance of their life is challenging them to work through. The issues that need to be understood by participants and which have been highlighted by people who work with men and women who live the experience of being traumatized are dispossession and depression, intergenerational trauma, grief and loss, lateral violence and suicide, victimization, disenfranchisement, societal isolation and disempowerment, racism and biases faced by people after the natural disaster or other trauma they have experienced. Although the above issues are not unique to a population group, the cultural worldview about these issues is unique to the stories people tell after the disaster or trauma and their own experience of living through it. As a society, we often label people as survivors, victims, or some other label that assists society in making sense of the person and their circumstances. One of the significant stories people who have come through a traumatic event tell is one of being watched by agents of social institutions for many and varied reasons. The friendly, caring visit from a priest, a policeman, a neighbour, and a friend demonstrate that being under observation is part of what it means to be a person who survived. From police, courts, government and non-government agents, surviving a disaster or an event attracts some form of official observation. However, whilst the person may appreciate these contacts, hidden deep under the layers of the loss, the grief, the pain is that question, why? Disaster and trauma from violence, domestic violence, family violence, sexual, physical, mental, psychological and spiritual crime can be so challenging too. If a person believes and feels that what they are experiencing is their life being put on display by others, the trauma experience then takes the person down a pathway of distrust, panic, shame, fear, anxiety, grief, loss, uncontrollable shakings and feelings of just wanting to hide. The help others give them can sometimes be overwhelming yet forbidding. However, if people who have suffered can come together and share their pain, listening to others tell their stories help them to see that the disaster, the trauma has always been outside of them. The pain has come from inside of them, from their reaction to what has been from outside of them. Their reaction is what brings the disaster or trauma into them, into their emotions, their thinking, and their spirit. In a healing circle, a person can be introduced to transformative ways to begin their healing. When people are valued just because they are human beings, sitting with others who have experienced trauma and are courageous and willing to share their life stories, they can see others who want to heal. Sharing personal life stories sets integrity and begins to build trust between participants so that in the healing circle, they can become centered collectively. It's like the competition of, oh, but you have no idea of what happened to me, is laid to rest. And participants value and respect each other's stories. At the end of their participation in the healing circle, their outcome is of paramount importance. And they must be assisted and guided by the facilitator to reach that point. In any healing intervention where participants seek support to heal themselves, it must be owned by the participant, not the professional. A professional becomes unprofessional when they use the language of ownership. For example, my group had a breakthrough. You should hear the stories my group share. Finally, Joe saw what I've been saying to him. This kind of language is arrogant, unprofessional, and self-centered because it is about the facilitator, not the participant. A participant's outcome is a participant's outcome. They own what happened to them in the healing circle. The language about their outcome must be recognized as their healing language within the language of a healing paradigm. This language is devoid of a facilitator I-itis. It is about the participants working together in unity and recognizing that each person has contributed to the strength of the healing process that encounters those that sit in the healing circle. It is all about we, our, and us, and the facilitators guides the participants throughout the whole healing process. Entering a healing circle is about each participant being gifted the opportunity to gain their sense of healing and owning it. Healing is about valuing the moments when a person reaches a place and a space where they gain an understanding of their cognitive, soulish, and behavioral triggers. Triggers are explained as the keys that bring back the memories of the trauma, the ill health, the physical and the mental and the emotional and the spiritual experience. Triggers also bring to the attention the positive memories, the memories where a person has felt happiness, success, peace, and confidence. However, they have come to the healing circle to regain those positive memories and allow them to breathe life into their now moment. This is where the participants develop culturally personal ways of recognizing their triggers, and they use their own new understandings to strengthen their skills and abilities. When participants identify their own resources and value them, they realize their own integrity to experience wellness and well-being. For example, a person who has not been able to trust their judgment about a matter will realize that it is not their judgment that was in question, but their trust in their ability to make a judgment. Healing circle work is about restoring men and women to love and appreciate themselves in the roles they live in every day. Telling and listening to the stories of self and others, Healing Circle is inclusive of family, not just the person. It is recognized that the person belongs to someone or others who are significant to them. People who come together may be strangers for the first time. However, the dynamic of the Healing Circle is that very quickly participants learn that each person in the circle is there for each other, not just for themselves. To some degree, the participants for a time become the participants' family, because each person will learn that their shared story will become part of each other's story. In a healing circle, participants will share stories they have not shared with their loved ones. To hear a husband say to his wife, "Honey, you never told me that." Or hear a daughter say to her mother, "Mum, why didn't you tell me?" Can be so releasing for the hearer, but it is also freeing for the teller of the story. And healing does take place as both the teller and listener learn to accept the story on merit. Therefore, learning to share and care and to support and assist each other becomes the process that each person engages in. An integral part of the forming of a healing circle is prayer and meditation. Each campfire is prepared for the participants in this way. It assists in the participants' awareness that the spiritual aspect of their healing is holistic and includes the four natural elements they are part of. Opening the circle with prayer and closing a campfire with meditation ensures that participants authentically experience closure before moving on to the next camping ground. Prayer encourages participants to take the opportunity to watch themselves and watch others, watching them, watching themselves. This is a cognitive and behavioral activity. When this watching process is clearly understood in Healing Circle, participants will find they can examine what they are doing positively and think more positively and open-mindedly. Prayer and meditation center a person's focus and assist in the building of what each participant will require for their transformation to take place. The negative observation will always be present, but Healing Circle enables people to recognize and work through it rather than let the negative work them over. Prayerful humour is also encouraged because in its purest form, humour is about safely laughing at ourselves or making fun of ourselves simply because we watch ourselves, looking at ourselves and watching others watching us. When we can learn to laugh respectfully, it becomes recognised as a release, whereby the participants let laughter become part of their watching, because life will bring us so many experiences where we can find that one positive thing that will bring a smile to our faces instead of a laden stone to our hearts. In the group, we sit and we can lighten a painful experience in our own or someone else's heaviness just by a smile, a touch, a nod of our head, or a gesture demonstrating that we care. With respect for each other, we listen and hold what we hear confidentially. We learn deep about things that we would not tell or find hard to tell our family, our partner, our parents, or our relations. It is not uncommon for a man or a woman to speak for the first time about childhood trauma that resulted from a sexual offence, or a rape, or a physical assault, or an emotional hurt that they have never disclosed. That is the power of the Healing Circle. The most important thing that yarning brings is that people know that their story is important. Their story is sacred, and their story must be told by them and not by another voice. They also learn that it's very fulfilling to talk ask questions, discuss, and communicate verbally while in prayer or meditation. It can be very personal, spiritual experience to use prayer and meditation in this way. When the person tells their story, other members of the circle can ask questions, give insight, or share how the same thing was their experience. Trusting, respecting, valuing, and honoring each other as they sit in the healing circle can become the key to self-empowerment. The facilitator performs a service, not a leadership role in the circle. If we continue the campfire metaphor, they are responsible tendering the fire, protecting the center of the fire, starting the fire and keeping the fire going without the fire getting out of control. They open and close the circle and might direct the transition from one segment of the circle to another. They are not there to be a subject matter expert. They will serve as the main contact for the group. The facilitator, metaphorically, is the guardian and is responsible for protecting the rim of the circle, ensuring no one gets burnt by being too close to the fire, and keeping an eye on those who need to back away from the heat. They watch the group's energy. As a facilitator, you will work within your organisation or community to deliver healing circles. 1. Preparing handouts and other material. 2. Promoting healing circle work. It is essential for the facilitator to engage within the community to promote the healing circle through regular media, social media, and community networks to reach their target population. 3. Choose an appropriate venue. Selecting a venue suitable for a healing circle and its activities is important. It must be a space that limits distraction and allows the participant to relax and enter a meditative state. Consider providing refreshments that can be on hand during the session, but most importantly, are available at the wrap-up for informal socialization. 4. Choose appropriate times to suit your participants. For example, daytime sessions may suit a group who do not work and have no small children at home. A night or weekend program may be more suitable for people with work commitments. 5. Conduct an initial participant meeting and assessment. Conducting an initial meeting with potential participants allows the facilitator to begin the engagement process and ensure the participant feels comfortable. This is an important opportunity for the facilitator to explain how a healing circle works and what the participant can expect. The facilitator should emphasize the following. Confidentiality is paramount. Healing circle is not a therapy or a treatment. Healing circle is an opportunity to learn and empower themselves. Healing circle allows us to listen and tell our stories. Mixed circles or single gender circles is okay. Mixed groups of Indigenous and non-Indigenous is okay. It also gives the participant an opportunity to ask further questions about the program. The participant will complete registration forms if you or your organisation requires them. A pre and post healing circle evaluation form is included in your manual. 6. Check-ins before the session. When running the healing circle, it is essential to check in at the start of each session to identify any anxiety or tension participants may be feeling. The check-in will touch on the components of the last session. This will allow the facilitator to notice any trends or changes in participants and allow for early intervention if the participant is struggling with the content. Note, whilst the participant still engages in the healing circle, recognition of the need to access other services will occur. Healing Circle Work Facilitators will refer the participant to a therapeutic program. The participant will continue participating in the healing circle and participate in the program, and the facilitator supports them. Participants in the healing circle also become mentors of the participant who is engaging in another service, that is, enhancing the healing circle work's participant to learning and training in skills and abilities that will build their capacity. 7. Assessments and evaluation. Throughout the Healing Circle's life, the facilitator will monitor and evaluate the Healing Circle. The Healing Circle manual must be dynamic in content and context so that a facilitator will maintain the cultural, philosophical ethos and the principles of the Healing Circle. The facilitator might be required to prepare reports on the Healing Circle based on their organisation requirements. At Culturefile, we would request the facilitator to send de-identified data on the Healing Circle, as it will allow us to develop and expand the manual and the resources to reflect what is occurring at the now moment. The data required is number of participants, gender and age status. Any issues with the content, any challenges. And finally, there are two key principles that progress the work of the facilitators of a Healing Circle. The first is for the highest good of the people we serve. The second principle is that a facilitator will demonstrate what they have in their hands as an expression of their spirituality. In doing so, facilitators will always use the language of a healing paradigm in the Healing Circle.
Ready for the next step in your healing journey? We offer face-to-face healing circles online. You can join no matter where you are in the world. Small groups come together to heal and learn to live, not just exist. We also offer Healing Circle Work Facilitator training, including face-to-face coaching online. Through this, you can take healing circles into your community, no matter where you are. Find out more at culturefy.au or send an email. Go well, stay well, be well.